Daniel Rose is the Director of Sustain Heating and Renewables in Somerset, a family-run specialist in air source heat pumps and solar energy installations. Clavette is a brand closely associated with Sustain because of its innovative solutions, 10-year warranty program and excellent after-sales service. Sustain has installed the Edge Evo heat pump cascade system in this 200-year-old property.
The most important part of the installation is a heat loss survey, and what that heat loss survey does, it basically tells us the characteristics of your property and how much heat it actually loses. Once we have all that information, we can then design a system that fits that home.
I was quite surprised because I didn't know you could actually install heat pumps in an older property, but this is actually a 200-year-old property.
The installation of air source heat pumps in older properties, we call that retrofit, and it always comes with its challenges because there isn't a house that is the same as any other house. They're all completely different and they all come with their own challenges, which as an installers, as you grow and you get into the business of air source heat pumps and installing renewable products, you do learn how to make things more efficient, how to make things better. So the heat loss report stated at this property that because the heat loss was so high, we had to install a cascade system. And what a cascade system is basically 2 air source heat pumps that is going to manage the heating requirements of this property. It doesn't mean they're both going to run all the time. They actually work in tandem. So one heat pump will generate heat for this property, but during the cooler months when it's starting to get a bit cold, the other heat pump will then kick in to actually add more depth of heat into the property.
Talk me through what happens once the heat pump is installed.
So once we've installed the air source heat pump and all the radiators and done any of the upgrades that we need to do at the property, it's the actual handover part to the customer, and that's actually my favourite part. There's lots and lots of myths around heat pumps that they're loud or they don't keep your house warm. But as soon as we turn those heat pumps on and we get a demand for heat, either on hot water or heating, and the customer stood in front of that heat pump and it's just so quiet, they're always so shocked of just how quiet they are, because genuinely it is a myth. And when they walk around the house and they're touching the radiators and they're warm, and then once it's been on for an hour or two and the fabrics of the building have got warm again, it's just a beautiful heat throughout. And every single customer, every single time, is genuinely overjoyed at how beautiful and warm their home is.
So is the idea with an air source heat pump that you keep it at a constant temperature the whole time? Or would you do it traditionally, potentially like an old boiler where you would have different peaks and times in the day? So
with an air source heat pump, to run them most efficiently, it's to ensure that the property doesn't drop in temperature too significantly. So a gas or an oil boiler, conventional boiler, they're either on or off. Whereas an air source heat pump can actually fluctuate its flow temperatures. So it can fluctuate how warm it's going to create the hot water in the radiator circuit to match the temperature outside. So, but at the end of the day, it's the customer's home, and it's important for them to have their house as warm as they want to have it. So we recommend having a 2-degree differential in temperatures in the property, but it's their home, and if they want to have a different setting for something, then we'll help them through that.
I've heard also that potentially there's a myth that if you have underfloor heating or radiators, they all have to come out if you're having an air source heat pump. Is that the case?
No, that's not always the case, no. So it's going back to the heat loss. Again, this is the most important part of the installation. The heat loss basically tells us what size radiators we need to change. If we need to change any, we don't always need to, but the likelihood in a retrofit installation is that we do need to upsize on radiators. It's not always significantly larger, but sometimes they do need to be changed. And with underfloor heating, we're not going to pull your underfloor heating out or anything like that. We're going to do a heat test on it. We're going to make sure that the underfloor heating is working beautifully prior to the air source heat pump installation, and then we just connect up. We connect up and it all just runs as normal.
So is it important to regularly maintain the heat pump?
So at Sustain Heating Renewables, we actually look after all of our own systems that we install. We think that's really, really important. And servicing your heat pump annually not only keeps your house beautifully warm and keeps the heat pump running efficiently, it also maintains your warranty. And at the end of the day, a 10-year warranty, you want to maintain that warranty and ensure that your heat pump is going to keep you and your family warm throughout the year.
I can see there's some other kit that goes with the air source heat pump. What if I don't have room for a cylinder?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have room in your immediate home for a cylinder, so, you know, maybe your airing cupboard is full of your towels and you don't want to lose that, which I get. My wife didn't want to lose it either. So what you can do is you can actually install your cylinder up in the loft space. They make cylinders in all shapes and sizes, and there is always somewhere we can put a cylinder. There is always a way around things, and you know, that's the magic of retrofit. Once you've done a few of them, you always find a way for it.
So that's another myth busted then.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's always a place for a cylinder. You know, there's always a place for an air source heat pump, and you need to work with the customer, ensure they're happy. You know, it's their home at the end of the day. They need to live there, and you need to make sure that the cylinder and the ancillaries that we do need to fit are in a place where they're happy with.
So as an installer, you must have choice. What drives you to install Clivet heat pumps?
The reason we install Clivet heat pumps is, one, their 10-year warranty with all of their units. It's fantastic. You know, there's not many manufacturers out there that actually give a 10-year warranty. The technical support is absolutely phenomenal. Sometimes things do go wrong. If we need a part, within 24 hours, you know, we're getting that part delivered directly to us and we're going out to fit that part. And I think it's a really nice looking heat pump, you know, as it comes. Some of them do look quite boxy, but I do like the look of the Clivet heat pump. And I just really like the brand. I like the brand, they're honest, and I love them, so do the customers.